I'm Kedar. In this video we are going to understand about macros in Katana. Katana is a very powerful node-based lighting and look dev software. In Katana we can create different nodes and we can reuse it in other shots, sequences or any other show. Let's jump into Katana and see how we can do this. As I mentioned, there are different ways to reuse nodes in Katana from one shot to other shot. So let's create one node, prman global statements. So in this one we have different options, settings which we can save and reuse in other shots. So that there is no need to set in every shot. Once we are done with the settings, we can copy paste them from one shot to other shot or one sequence to other sequence. So let's do some settings. Once we are done with the settings, we can copy paste this node from one scene file to another scene file. Control C and Control V, that's one way. And another method is we can save this macro, export the selection, and we can import in any other shot. That's another way. And another method is create a macro with the same settings, and you can use this macro in any shot. Let's change the name of it, say show globals, and let's see how to create a macro. There is a button, save as macro, give a name, it will save as .macro file, and we are done. Now let's click a tab. Now you can see show render globals, the same macro which we saved with all the same settings here. So if once we save this, we can use in any shot or any show. We need to save this in a global place. Now let's create a bit complicated macro. So here I have a scene file where I have different ponies and material creates and assign materials. So the whole thing can be saved as a macro. So this scene file can be used as a test scene in R&D purpose or any other purpose. So let's group it. So now you can see the group name. Once you go inside, it's a group of different nodes, and we can also save this as a macro and we can reuse it. So let's go save it. In the same global folder from where we can access any macro .macro file. Now it's done. Now again tab, we have a test scene here. So if you go inside, the same settings, same everything, we can directly use this test scene for to test anything. So just connect and use it. So let's delete this. You can see the same macros. Yeah, these are the macro names which we created just now. So we have groups, macros, and super tools. Super tools are similar to macro but created using Python scripting. So now if you see this group, we don't have any options outside, but if you go inside the group, there are different nodes, and for every node you have different options. So if you see, we have two ponies and a plane. This is our scene file in a group, and if you go inside, we have created a material node and assigned it. So if we want to edit anything, we have to go inside the macro and we need to edit. So to avoid this, we can actually expose parameters for that. Let's preview this to see how it is looking now. So we have a one red pony and one blue pony. Let's stop the rendering. So we have this node exported, a node saved as a macro, and if you go to test scene, so this is saved macro, and you don't have anything to edit outside, but you have to go inside to edit anything. Let's understand now how we can get the attributes out. So for instance, we want the material color attribute to be edited by user. So we have now blue color here. So this is material attribute, and we can edit the color. So we have to expose the color parameter. So in group node, edit settings here, and we can add different types of attribute. So the type is color, so let's add color attribute here. We can rename the attribute name. So here blue is our shader name, not the color name, so blue underscore color. So once the attribute is ready, we can actually copy the value from the group node to the shader color, and we need to paste expression so that the value, whatever we change here, it will get updated inside the shader. So we have adjusted to red. Now you can see this is automatically edited. So let's change it to green for now, and we need to say close. We are done with the editing. So we need the parameters. We added the parameters what we wanted here. Let's save this macro again. Let's overwrite it. So we are done now, and now this is the test scene macro, and you can see here the attribute which we have exposed. So let's preview and see. Now you can see the green color here. So we can edit the value from the macro itself. We don't have to go inside it to do any adjustment. So similarly, let's add another attribute to understand further. So for the same shader, let's expose the roughness parameter. So similarly, we need to go inside macro, edit the macro. This is a number parameter, so add number, the type number. Here you can see it's a number. So let's add this, rename it to say blue roughness. Blue is again not a color, it's a material name. Another small thing I want to mention here is if you see the group node, you have this plus sign. It is looking like a group node. So we can actually toggle off the group node so that you can't see the plus node. It's now a type of macro. And let's again do the same thing, edit, copy, and go inside control middle click and paste the value in our roughness, paste expression, so that whenever we change the roughness, it will get changed automatically inside our macro. So we can see the same value as updated here. So save this macro again, override. So now if you see, we have the same test scene macro which has two different parameters to change here. Let's take another example to understand macros further. So we have a scene file here with object settings. One is receiving the shadow and another is casting. So if you see here in a render image, plane is receiving and both the objects have primary visibility off, and which are only casting the shadows. So we actually want a macro which does receiving and casting. So let's do the same thing again, rename it and edit the parameters. So let's add a new type here. So we need to add string, and inside this we need to add the type of cell statement, because we are going to add the object in it. So let's rename it. We can also group these parameters in the macro. So we have a group type here. Rename this group as receiver, and we can drag and drop our attribute inside the group. So similarly, let's create another group which is caster, and another parameter, string parameter, and we can put this parameter inside our caster group. We can actually create different parameters, and we can place different parameters into different groups as well. So the type is here cell statements for both, and now let's copy this and paste as an expression in our cell statement inside the macro. Let's do the same thing with the other object. You can shift click to get both the selections visible. I clicked paste instead of paste expression, so it won't work. So let's do it again. Copy this, go inside and paste expression. Let's do the same thing for the other parameter. Copy and paste expression. Now we can close editing. So we have two paths here. We can give caster and receiver both. Let's add these things inside. So one will cast shadows and one will receive shadows. So now let's preview it. So now you see the other pony is only casting shadows, not visible, primary visibility off for that, and ground plane and the other one, red one, is receiving. Let's save this macro. So we can save this in our global place. We can give any name for this macro, and now we have shadow macro here. So we have the parameters receiver and caster in this one. Along with the same type of the attributes, we can actually map one value to the another one. Let's see how we can do that as well. So we can use mapping. Let's map our camera visibility, and we can actually say we can actually add an attribute called yes or no. Instead of that, we can edit, and we can say like camera visibility on and camera visibility off. So let's edit this. So we can write camera visibility off, the value is 0, and add another one, camera visibility on now, and the value will be 1. So we can same copy and paste expression. So now if you say camera visibility off, the value it gives out as is 0, and camera visibility on, it will give you 1. So let's see that. Shift click to see both. Now you can see here. So in this way we can add different attributes and different types as well in our macro. As you can see, there are different types, there are different editings, and macros are very useful and powerful. So just to summarize the video, we can create any type of macro, we can save it, and we can reuse in any show or any sequence. It is very easy to do it, and you can see the macros, your created macros here. There is a lot in Katana, but in this video we are only covering macros in Katana. Hope everyone is clear with creating macros, editing, and reusing them in Katana. Hope you enjoyed the video. Keep looking this space for more updates. Happy learning.